You know, you've accomplished some incredible feats in the past 3 or 4 years in terms of physical. You know, you've done the 4x4 by 48. You did the Murph, like we mentioned before. You did a 50-mile run. You did a 100-mile run. You've done multiple marathons, 6 marathons in 6 months. Which one of those accomplishments are you most proud of?
The next one.
Okay, Tom Brady. People ask me about my favorite podcast, and I just say the next one. And I love that. But what sticks out in terms of what you learn from the most in one of those, or like a key lesson from one of those specifically?
No, 100%. And I'm like pseudo serious, but like joking in a little bit. But the Grindstone 100-mile race, it's almost unfathomable. Like to the naked eye, like I don't even talk about it because like it's not like something like, oh, like I go to the bar and I'm like, yeah, I ran 100 miles. Like I don't even mention half the shit I do because it's not worth me explaining. You know? Like to the normal person, running a marathon is fucking ludicrous, let alone 4 times the distance. What I learned in that race, Danny, is that we truly are capable of so much more as humans. I was down and out at mile 61. I legitimately could not jog anymore or put any pressure on my right knee because I had a really tight IT band that was basically on the side of my leg up to my glute that was not like working. I could not jog anymore. It was so fucking tight. So I had to walk. And we were going down this 4-mile decline because in the middle of the night, you have to climb 4 miles. But people don't understand. In an ultra, there's a lot of walking, jogging, hiking. It's not just running. Only if you're a savage winning these races do you run all of it. But when you're going down a hill, it sometimes hurts just as much as going up because your quads are getting smashed and you're almost like putting brakes on going down a steep hill in a car. And that same feeling of like straining your quads and your like everything in the front of your leg, it just was excruciating. At 61, I was at an aid station and there was a gentleman that came up to me and was like, he's like, are you stopping? Are you quitting? He's like, and I was like, no. And he just gave me this little story of like, he was in a 100-mile race and he quit at mile 65 and he said it was the biggest regret of his life.
Oh my God.
And at that point, I was already ahead of schedule. So it wasn't like I was in detriment of like not like hitting the actual court race. But how I felt at 61 and then 20 miles later feeling better, Danny, was this awakening similar to Goggins on that 100-mile race that he had of like, oh shit, my last 10 miles were faster than my previous 25. I actually was able to run. I fucking sprinted into the last finish mile of the Grindstone 100. So the biggest takeaway from that experience was like, even when I'm fucking exhausted in business, because of travel, because of anything, fitness, a race, a marathon, like I literally put it into perspective of like, yo, I've been in the ringer way fucking worse. And it's like that cookie jar that Goggins talks about of like, people forget about how savage they are. Whether you're a mom and you had 3 kids, you had 3 fucking kids. You're a savage. Whether you like to believe it or not, you are. So for me, it was that moment I realized that I'm like, yo, I've been through the ringer and it was through a choice, like chosen suffering that Williamson talks about a lot. And when I feel down and out, I'm like, I've been in worst case scenarios. So that takeaway from Grindstone 100, it allowed me to even open up further of like, what is possible from the human body and the spirit and the mind. And more, I want to seek like how much more of that is available without really injuring myself or like torturing myself or disrespecting the body because I want to live up to 100. But I also want to understand what we can do as humans. That's where like my messaging compared to what Goggins is a little different, where like I want this to be a sustainable practice for most people. There's powerful things about running a 100-mile race, but most people won't ever do it. And you probably don't need to do that to go live up to 100. But understanding that I'm capable, that humans are capable of doing that, it gives me room internally to be like, yo, there's more that we can accomplish.
Dude, just to go from 4 years ago not running to accomplishing that, running 100 miles, overcoming your injury in that moment to go to the next level, like that speaks to mental toughness, that speaks to resilience, and that's remarkable. Coming from the place where I'm at, where I've been running for 4 months And I'm like, I can't even fathom that. And I think a lot of it is due to the voice in the head of like, don't get hurt. You know, don't be careful, is a voice I think that personally I've grown up with. And that served me a lot. Like I'm safe.